now we have people who are really getting into that spring fever to sell their house, get their home ready to sell. And one of the potentially the most daunting task for some people is we have to get our home ready. We got to get stuff packed away. We got to move all this stuff to the new place that we're moving. So, when you have someone contact you and they're at this point right now, they're just starting to think about that and they're overwhelmed. What's the checklist or things that you start talking to them about as far as what to do, the timeline?
Absolutely, yeah. And moving, interesting enough, is the third most stressful thing we do in our lives, behind death and divorce. Moving is number 3. So you're right. There's just so many pieces to the whole process, and so it's important from an organizational standpoint to have a checklist of some kind. And the other thing I tell folks is when you're moving, keep either your phone, if you're good at putting notes on your phone, right next to your bed, or a notepad and a pen. When you wake up in the middle of the night and you're panicked because you've thought of something else that you need to do, write it down right then so you can get back to sleep and not fret so much over it. But we have a checklist that we've put together over the years of doing this that are just some broad categories of things that you need to at least take a look at. Does this apply? Does it not apply? And if it does apply, where does it fall in that timeline? And timelines will vary depending on the variables of your whole particular case, because it may be you're in a position where you're going to move and you're going to get the house ready to go on the market, and you're looking for other houses. So that's, one place we all start out at. And then it may be we've sold our house, but we haven't found another one, or we don't have the closing date. So as you get closer and closer to things becoming finalized, you'll have a checklist, but sometimes the timeline might change up a little bit as to, when things might happen. But having that checklist with things, and some of the things you want to look at are what I call the pre-move kind of checklist, where you're looking at things like, do I have my house sold? Do I have a move date? Do I have a moving company lined up? Do I know who I'm going to call? And how soon do I need to make that phone call? Hey, what have I downsized? Do I need to go through and get rid of things? Do I need to do that ahead of time? Also, some of those other pre-move things. Do I need to get my carpet cleaned before we put it on the market? Do I need to get some handyman repairs done? So there's so many things that need to be done pre-move. And then you kind of get into the move and the packing. And what are the list of those things that need to be done when I'm looking towards the packing days and what all's entailed there? To then move day, with actually moving things, there's a list of things. Some of the things for move day that I always say people tend to forget are, make sure you've got a checklist that says, remember to pack the refrigerator and the freezer items. Those are the things that people kind of overlook because we're looking at every cupboard and closet, and we've thought all about that all along. Those, we can see them, we can see the furniture. You get over to the new house, you open the refrigerator and go, oh no. Honey, guess what I forgot? We forgot to pack the refrigerator and the freezer, or the dirty dishes in the dishwasher. So all those little things, and we have a checklist of those things that we're happy to share with anyone, whether you're using our services or not. I think JJ and I were talking earlier. We have a free 2-hour move informational meeting where we provide you with all kinds of information of things to think about. But it's really just critical that you have a checklist that you can kind of add things to, cross off things as you do them. That's another, from an organizing standpoint, it's always really good to have some type of a to-do list and a checklist where you can scratch off things, because you can see the progress you're making and you will feel much better about yourself, versus if everything's just running around in your head and you kind of do things but you don't do things, you can't remember what you've done, and you will feel way more overwhelmed. If you want to get some control and reduce some of that stress, is get things written down, whether it's electronically written down or if it's on pen and paper where you can see, because what that allows you to do when you have everything written down, you can see there's a beginning and there's an end to this project, to the big moving project, versus when things keep swarming in your head, you just keep getting overwhelmed and it feels like it's never going to end. But if you want to get some control, get things written down in a checklist. Yeah, absolutely. And, when you're talking about that kind of pre-organized list and getting stuff, start getting stuff labeled and packed and stuff like that, it makes me think about why it's so important to do it on the front end, because if you're looking to get your house ready to sell, we've talked about the last 3 weeks, we talked about staging and getting your home ready to sell. Some of these things overlap tremendously, where you might be pulling something out of an area so it looks good, but if you're not
labeling it or packing it in a place where you can then take it to the new place to unpack it, you're basically increasing your work because you weren't, or stress if you lose track of
Yes.
it, if you're not keeping track of it on the front end. So having those things together on the front end, thinking about this moving list and getting ready, and then also getting ready to put your home on the market.
Yes.
Some of these things tie in
together. They
together.
absolutely tie in together.
Yeah.
Because the thing that I always recommend is if there are things that you know you are not taking with you when you move to your new home, absolutely we'll try to get rid of those ahead of time, unless we need them from a staging purpose. Because the other thing, and I know you've had other instances where you've talked about staging, but there's that fine line between, do you want it staged, or what do we get rid of, and how much do we have? If you empty it out too much, then it looks like you're just walking into a home with a few pieces of furniture, and that's not warm and welcoming either.
Correct.
So sometimes we may need to leave some furniture pieces for the staging purpose, but there are other things if we've got too much stuff in the house, if we can get them out. Even down to, you know, I always say on one of those pre-move things that you're going to be doing is you're going to be going through every closet, cupboard, and shelf, going through each item, and anything that you think can go away, all that small stuff, get it out of the, you know, make a plan to get it out of your life and get it away from the home, so that when you do show your home, it feels more spacious and it just has a much better feel. It's all, you know, it all comes down to the feng shui, how things feel. And when a buyer comes into your home and they're looking and they open up a closet just to see how big it is, if you've got things shoved in there, it's not going to leave a good feeling. That energy is not going to be good. Versus if you've gone through and you've weeded out and gotten rid of the things that aren't going with you, maybe you've even organized on the front end and got everything into containers and they're labeled, it's going to look and feel nice for any potential new buyer. Plus, when it comes time to move, you just pick up those containers, you stick them in a box, and now they're already organized. You just take them over, move them over, transport them, and take them out, and you're good to go.
You get to a new place, and it makes it a lot easier at the new place that you're
Absolutely.
moving to.
Yeah.
So